Hi, I'm Steve Hopkins, and this is PongNow, an interview series discussing table tennis with some of the best players and personalities in the sport. It is my pleasure today to welcome Hall of Fame member Christian Lillieroos. Christian had an interesting playing career in Sweden, where he was known as one of the very few Swedish pinhold players. Most of us know Christian as a coach. When he first came to the U.S., he coached in the Northeast. He was then coach of Anderson College in the Southeast, then at Texas Wesleyan College in the Southwest. And to cover all of the directions, he then coached at Portland in the Northwest. His coaching credentials now span the globe, as he has been working for the ITTF as a course conductor, a coach's coach, training others how to train the next generation of table tennis players. Welcome to PongNow, Christian.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for inviting me, Steve. It's been a long time. We've known each other for 34 years exactly as of now.
Well, you may have done the math a little more than me, and I don't claim to be as old as you're looking right now.
Of course not.
So, Christian, in the introduction, I said you were known as a pinhold player. So let me start there. Why pinhold?
Well, I was a young kid in Sweden, and my dad played some table tennis. He passed away when I was young, but before he passed away, he gave me a table tennis book that was called From 0 to 21, a famous book in Sweden. And I might have been 10, 11 years old, something like that. And at that time, I played shakehand. Okay, I played shakehand, and I was not good. All right, and I played against a classmate of mine. I remember I was 12 years old, and we played in his garage, and I literally have never beaten him. And we're talking now crappy backyard basement table tennis, nothing. All right, and then when I got the book from my dad, then in that book, it said something about penhold. And I thought, okay, this sounds like cool. Let me try that. All right. And I tried that grip just for fun. And for the first time in my life, I beat my friend, okay, who was probably 350 rated US ATT. So that was my breakthrough in table tennis. So since then, I thought, wow, this must be the grip for me. So I continued to play penhold. And I continued to beat my friend, and I was almost 400 in rating now, so I felt very proud. So I think that was probably a lifetime decision on this is the way we're going to play. So that's how it started. But it also, like you rightfully said, I think I can say I was the best penholder at the time in Sweden, which means I beat the other guy. So if you say you're the best shakehander in Sweden, that means something. If you're the best penholder, that means absolutely nothing. So,
well, all right. So you're selling yourself a little short, because I know that I saw a pinhold blade with your name on it at one point from Stiga.
Okay. Well, they had nobody else to give it to. So what can I say? Later on, they have Jiang DeYang and like other good players that were like Lugo Liang was Stiga's sponsor, so he was like slightly better than me.
All right, so I said most of us in this country came to know you as a coach. When did you come to the U.S.?
I came the very first time I was in the United States was during the 1984 Paralympic Games, when I went with the Swedish team. And I coached there, and that was in Hofstra University at Long Island. And I was there for a couple of weeks. And if you want to have the nice introduction to me at American culture, so when I came to the United States, Sweden never had commercials on TV, all right? So I came into the hotel the first day I was in the United States, and I turned on the TV. And I was glued to the TV for 24 hours straight, loving the commercials. There's a reason why today I don't have a TV. because that is like, I'm not used to this TV culture, and I can be mesmerized, and I'm forgetting everything. Everybody who sees me looking at TV, I'm like this, and I can't go. So I can't watch TV. But anyway, 1985, I came to United States for the purpose of working here. And that was 100% through the efforts of Tim Bogan, together with another Swedish personality. His name is Nisse Sandberg. And any US table tennis player who played in Sweden pretty much knows who he was, or he is. He's kind of an older guy now in his 80s, but Nisse and Tim did a lot of things, but he changed between Sweden and United States in the 70s and 80s. And this actually recommended for Tim to try to get me over to United States. And I was kind of a wild guy in Sweden at the time, more American than Swedish, kind of cocky and trying to know I knew everything, and I tried wild ideas and everything else. So he thought I would be good for United States. So I came over in 85.
Where were you based when you came?
I was based in New Jersey. I was living with Barry Duttell, late Barry Duttell. He passed away a couple of years ago, but I was living, renting a room from him, and I was working at the Westfield Table Tennis Club. And I started to work there in July 1985 after the US Open. I first came to US Open, and then I started work there. And at that time, I was hired by USATT as a junior program director or something like that. And I did programs there, and I did a couple of things in Maryland and Pennsylvania as well in those days.
All right, and I'm going to take you a little out of order as to what you and I had talked about ahead of time. So I think we stole you away from New Jersey area. So you eventually came to Anderson College as head coach and were there for a while. Did you come directly, or was there another stop along the way?
It was definitely not a stop. The other stop was Canada.
Okay.
So the Anderson College story is that in February of 1986, your dad, Mark Hopkins, who was president at Anderson College at the time, he communicated with me, and he said he wanted to start a table tennis program at Anderson College. And Tim Bogan, who was president of USAT at the time, thought it was a good idea. And Bob Trethway was also supporting the concept, and we wanted to make some kind of a program there and everything else. So I came for the first time to Anderson in June of 1986. And one good memory, should I share the Derek May memory?
Sure. You can share whatever memories you want, Christian.
All right. Okay. So I saw that Derek was on one of your interviews a couple of days ago with the Boost brothers. So I remember that story. So he was he was part of Anderson College team the first year. So I was supposed to be the coach. That was the idea. Okay. So in June of 1986, I came there and I gave Derek a lesson. He wanted to have a lesson. And at that time, he was an offensive player coming out of high school, playing tennis. He was about 1900 as a player. And after that one lesson, I told him, I think you should chop. Okay. He had a very good forehand attack and a terrible backhand attack. But he could chop a little bit naturally. You know, his dad, Pete, of course, is a chopper. So it's not that he was very familiar with chopping. So I thought you should attack with forehand and chop with backhand and chop a little bit of forehand. That should be your style in the future. And Derek said, yes, sir. And then I left, and he continued.
and ended up on a U.S. team.
And he made a U.S. team. And it became a little better than 1900 after that. Not because of me only, but I mean, there was an interesting beginning. But then what happened is that I also directly got an offer from Canada. It was kind of strange to work there. And the Tim Bogan lost the election, and Salt Schiff became the president of USATT at the US Open in July 1986. So he said, you no longer work in the United States. Okay, all right. But if you don't think so, then I have an offer from Canada. I go to Canada. So the Anderson College thing kind of got scrapped for short. And Jim Doney became the first coach. Derek stayed on the team. Scott Butler stayed on the team, and a couple of other people. Debbie Moya, I think her name was also on the team. And you know all about that because you were practicing with them at the same time. But after 1 year in Canada, then Jim Doney didn't want to continue, and your dad, Mark Hopkins, communicated with me again and said, "Are you interested? We need a coach here." And I said, "Okay, now I want to do it." So in summer of '87, then I moved back to Anderson College, and I was coaching there for 2 years. So that was the Anderson College story, kind of briefly. But also in Anderson, I switched from penholder to shakehand.
You also shift from right-handed to left-handed at one point too.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So let me ask this, Christian, because you referenced Derek May. He went on and played on a U.S. team. I know you coached in Mexico for a while, and I know you've coached in Canada for a while. What's the best player that you've ever coached?
The best player? Well, it depends on if you refer to para or able-bodied. So able-bodied, I've coached actually 7 world champions. From able-bodied, I think the best player that I coached was probably Chen Yinghua when he was on the USA team in 97, 98. He was pretty good in those days, maybe even 30 in the world or so. In Sweden, I coached a lot of the junior national team members then, but they're not really kind of internationally well known. Magnus Gidler was Swedish champion under 13, under 15, and under 17, but he didn't make the men's team in those days, 84, 85. I've coached training camps. It depends on how much you refer to. You talk about training camps or over a long period of time. Like you coach so many people, so it's like difficult to depend on what you. And it's also the thing is that a player, when many times when a coach says I coach that player, it doesn't mean that player has one coach. Pretty much everybody have like 10 coaches. I'm one of 10 maybe. So it's not. I don't want to take credit for things I haven't done either. So I mean, Chen Yinghua. I mean, I coached him a little bit, but I cannot say that I'm the main reason why he's number 30 in the world and maybe almost number 1 in the world. Of course I'm not. So it's like you have to you cannot take credit where it's not deserved either. It was just a couple of camps and a couple of tournaments and stuff. So
I hear what you're saying. So let me turn it around this way. How many countries have you coached in now, do you think?
51.
51. All right. So you're keeping track of it. How many players do you think you've coached, ballparked?
I don't know how many players I've coached. I know how many coaches I've trained and certified. That is.
All right, let's hear that number.
That's 815.
Wow. And you assume all of them obviously are coaching lots and lots of people. That's a pretty big footprint for you, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of total number of players coached in the world, I must be. I mean, it's many thousands, but it's. I could be 5,000. I don't know. Very difficult to say. I mean, that I cannot keep track of.
All right. So let's turn this back to the U.S. I think I heard that you coached Jim Butler and Eric Owens. So tell me about that.
Yeah. So Jimmy Butler's an interesting story. When I first came to the United States, the first thing I did in 1985, when Jimmy was 14 years old, I came to Iowa and I was doing some things at the Junior Olympics, and I was playing with him a little bit, and his mom was supporting me and everything else. And I was also coaching there was 4 U.S. teams in the U.S. Open 1986, and I was one of those coaches. I coached the USA 2 team, and Jimmy Butler was on that team. And that was an interesting story because her mom just get absolutely berserk at me for maybe justified reason, I don't know, but I didn't select him on the team. So I mean that mom doesn't like that. So that was a feud for 10 years between her and me. More her. I don't know if I just kind of stay out of line. But in 1995, after Jimmy played the World Championships, he did very good in got to the semifinals, US Open 95, and he got bronze in the World Team Cup in 1995. So we started to work together. So he came to Oklahoma City, and I started work with Eric. So I kind of became his personal coach for a while, up until maybe 2002, maybe, for 5-6 years, something like that. So I coached him in tournaments, and we did some programming and everything else. And I did also that with Eric. Eric, I kind of coached from the same time, 95 also, but to the time that before I went to China. He also went over to Texas Wesleyan. He was there for 5 years, and Jimmy was there for a semester only. His body was kind of breaking down, so he couldn't really play. So he had to go into recuperation for 10 years for therapy.
And had a nice comeback.
A very nice comeback. It's pretty amazing that he was 21 years after he won the national championship, wins it again. So, and he's playing hard now also in Houston. I talked to him today actually, and he works really hard with the other Olympic qualifier in Houston, the Chinese girl there. So they play every day. So he's actually playing very good. But maybe that's a secret. I shouldn't say that.
I think I'm all for pulling out secrets in these.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned Texas Wesleyan. So you were head coach at Anderson College, and then later were head coach at Texas Wesleyan. How do you get that gig?
I was in Germany. Was working in Germany from 1999 to 2000 with the International Paralympic Committee. I was director of sport there for a year. When I came back from that, I was approached by Texas Wesleyan golf coach at the time, who was also about a 2100 level player, Bob. Oh, I'm sorry, Bob. I cannot remember your last name. You're going to kill me for this. Oh, my God. Okay. Anyway, he approached me, and he had talked to the president of the university. It seems like both Anderson and Texas Wesleyan started with the president of the school that won the table tennis. So, and that was the same thing at Texas Wesleyan. So the president there won the table tennis, wanted an Olympic sport. So Bob communicated with the president and said, "Why not table tennis?" And then he communicated with me, and you know that I came back from Germany. So he asked me if I was interested, and I said yes, I am, and I went down and I communicated with the athletic director there, and they set up a very nice program supported by the president. The athletic director liked it very much, and we had scholarships. And the very first player to sign up on the team was Jasna Rauder, previous Reed, previous Fashlik. So she has changed name every 5 years, but now she stayed at Rauder. So she got team number 1. And the second person to sign up for the team was Idan Levy from Israel. So he got team number 2. And Razvan Kreto was team player number 3. So those were the 3 first players that we got on the team the first semester. And Eric Owen signed up the second semester in the January of 2002. So he got team number 4. So that was a very strong team with 4. And the first year that we competed, that was in the spring of 2002. We won men's singles, women's singles, men's doubles, mixed doubles. And Jasna was the only female, but she played with another girl from another school. I think it was Princeton. And she also won women's doubles. So we won everything but teams. We were not allowed to compete in the teams yet because we did not qualify early enough and stuff like that. So that was a very nice time. So I stayed at Texas Wesleyan from 2005 to 2006. And then after that, I got a job in China, and I moved to China to do something else.
Bobby Cornett, is that his last name?
Bob Cornett. Thank you.
All right. There.
How do you know? And I don't know. That's not fair.
We got to get the kudos out to everybody that needs the kudos. All right. So I also remember doing articles where you were coaching the Mexican team. Let me start by saying, how many languages do you speak?
Fluently, I speak. I would probably call it fluently 4, and okay 8, maybe.
All right. So how did you come to coach the Mexican team?
Well, that actually started with an interesting thing. I just got a message from him. My birthday was 2 days ago, and Antonio Sanchez, that was his name. He was the first Mexican that came to Oklahoma City in 1989 when I moved there, and he started work with me, and I coached him a little bit there. And he went back to Mexico, and he kind of talked about me. And then the current president of the Mexican Table Tennis Federation, he communicated with me. He said that he wanted me to work there. And that was in January 1992. And truly at that time, you asked me about languages, I could say 2 words in Spanish. I mean, I could not say anything. But I probably rate my Spanish now probably better than my Swedish, because it's like I can speak Spanish all the time. There's a lot of Spanish-speaking people in the United States, and I travel and I teach in Spanish and stuff. So it's a very useful language. But I was there for 2 years. So I was there all of 92 and 93. And an interesting thing to correlate with that, in those years, the Paralympic and the able-bodied movement were totally separated. So in November of 1991, I was named as the head coach for the U.S. Paralympic team going to Barcelona in 1992. And at the same time, I was coaching the Mexican able-bodied team. So I was coaching the Mexican able-bodied team and the U.S. Paralympic team. And I went to Barcelona and coaching the U.S. team. The Mexican team didn't make it, so I didn't go to the Olympics, but I could have theoretically. And that was totally okay. Nobody complained. But interesting enough, I had a very similar story that happened to me in 2013. In 2013, I was also offered a job in Mexico at that time as a high performance director. For some strange reason, at that time, I was also offered a job to be a U.S. Paralympic head coach. But it was part-time, and I decided to go to Mexico. And I was also on the USA TT board of directors. And I thought in my mind, oh, that's a great thing. I can have both USA and Mexico. We can work together. And all the board of directors at that time, they kind of kicked back and said, no, it's a conflict of interest. You have to resign. Okay, sure. Okay, I resigned. They really didn't like that I went to Mexico. They thought I'm going to cheat and I'm going to like share all the secrets in Mexico and da da da. So that was not good at all. So I resigned from being board of director. So that was my second turn with Mexico.
What's next for Christian Lillieroos? What's on the horizon for you?
Well, you mentioned also what I've been doing lately is I've been focused on pretty much all my efforts since 2010 on coaching education. So what I'm doing right now, I'm working for USA Table Tennis as a coaching education director. So we are putting together a coaching certification system, new certification system. And I'm working with USATT with that, with a group of people there. And we're going to launch a new certification course here pretty soon. It's a new track system with clubs, club courses, and high performance coaches for everybody, high performance for para table tennis players. And kind of that's my focus right now. So I'm looking at the online world very differently, this online interview included. So I see that my body is not as strong as it was X number of years ago. So I kind of enjoy the online coaching thing more. I have clients in different parts of the world that I do online coaching with, and even in the United States. And it's kind of taken off more. I'm not as good as Samson. Samson is like phenomenal at online coaching. Samson Dabina. He's posted as 8 hours a day of online. He's like phenomenal. So I'm not in his league when it comes to online coaching, but we all have to learn this new online world. So
we're
that's what I'm going to focus on.
A new website for online coaches from you?
No, this is going to be with USATT. So it is
Okay.
all USATT based certification. It's not personal. No, I'm creating a system for USATT. So.
And where are you living now?
I live in Portland, Oregon. So I'm based in the Paddle Palace Club. So I do lessons there. That's my base. And since until last year, I was traveling around a little bit. And I have to tell you one last story that's kind of funny in terms of timing with this whole pandemic situation. Right before the pandemic start, I had a contract to coach the Barbados national team for 3 weeks. So they got cut short for 1 week. This is in March because of the pandemic. And the day before I left Barbados, when they closed the borders, no incoming plane, no outgoing plane, then I had two marvelous memories. Okay. Memory number one, I had a haircut. I did a genius idea to have a haircut in Barbados. Okay. And we all know that everybody looks like hippies right now. I'm not that long here. I don't have much left. So that's probably the main reason. But I did that. And the other thing that I did too, I was having a lunch in a sit-down restaurant in Barbados. The last day, that was March 21st actually. So those were two very nice stories that you would never think of that be anything special, in normal days. But that was like my recent very nice memories in life.
It's all going to come back. Everything is going to reopen, and we're all going to be back. I had opportunity. Yeah, I had opportunity to go and play this last week. So I've been going a couple times each week with one person at our club. But that's the advantage of having a key and being able to get in. But probably 2 weeks away, we'll start opening up. And I've been doing articles each week as different folks begin opening up. The last two have been in Texas. Georgia clubs are going to be opening up starting June 1. It looks like moving across the Southeast. It may take a while before they get to where you are, and it may take a while before they get to where I am in Rhode Island as well. But sometime here towards the middle of June, I think we're going to see a lot of folks reopened again.
Yeah, no, those articles are fantastic because USATT have had these regular club meetings, virtual meetings online. And everybody's asking about, we want to share best practices and see what the other clubs are doing. And all those articles are fantastic for people to know what other people are doing and learning from it so we can open safely as soon as possible when we're allowed to. Yep.
All right, Christian, that's probably a pretty good place to cut things off here. It's really nice seeing you again, even here. So hopefully at some point when everything is reopened, I'll see you out at a tournament someplace so we can shake hands and stuff. But this is better than not seeing you for sure. But thanks for taking the time to chat with me. Again, I think lots of other folks are going to be interested in listening in and seeing these stories from the person that lived it, and that's the goal of this whole interview series. So thanks for joining me here on PongNow.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be chosen for this interview. I feel very happy and honored. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.